Hello, my name is Emma and today I'm giving you guys my June reading wrap up. In the month of June, I read 8 books, which I am extremely satisfied with. I feel like, again, I've just been reading so many great books this year, and I say this in every single wrap up, but I'm really happy with where my reading is at the moment, so I am excited to share my thoughts on my most recent reads with you guys. As a note, I have really been trying to be more interactive on Goodreads this year, so I have been writing reviews for almost everything, and with all of the books that I have read this month, really, I'm pretty satisfied with all of my Goodreads reviews, so if you want to get more in depth on my thoughts, I've linked all of the Goodreads review for each of these books down below. But the first book I read in the month of June is Queens of Geek by Jen Wilde, which is an own voices novel featuring a bisexual protagonist as well as a main character with Asperger's and anxiety. It takes place at a convention with these 3 friends who have traveled across the world from Australia to America to attend for different reasons. One of our main characters, named Charlie, is a Chinese-Australian vlogger and she is there promoting her new movie. And then we have Taylor, who is the girl with Asperger's and anxiety, who is trying to win the opportunity to meet one of her all-time favorite authors. I have personally really loved Queens of Geek. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I totally understand all of the hype that has been going on about this book since it was released in March. There's just so much diversity in this book, and there's so many great passages about being a part of a certain population, whether that be being bisexual or biracial or having Asperger's or anxiety or being Hispanic. There are just so many great things about this book that I think a lot of readers would resonate with. I do have some critiques of it that, again, I go more in depth in that Goodreads review, but I was really upset with the portrayal of a YouTuber. As a YouTuber, I was expecting so much more, and it felt like it was like so stereotypical and just grazed the surface, which was so disappointing for me because I have been looking to find a book about what it was really like to be a YouTuber. Unfortunately, Queens of Geek was just not it for me. And also, I wasn't a huge fan of the dialogue. I really liked the writing style. Again, there's so many great passages in this novel, but sometimes the dialogue between characters just felt like very planned and structured, and it just wasn't as natural as I would have liked it. But overall, I think this book is fantastic. I'd really recommend it to so many of you guys. The next book I read in the month of June is 7 Ways We Lie by Riley Redgate, which features 7 protagonists that all represent one of the 7 deadly sins. It takes place across a few months of the school year at the beginning of the novel when a student-teacher affair has kind of been revealed and they don't know who it is. They're trying to investigate, and it's about all the different reactions and things going on in the lives of some of the students in the school. I loved this book so much. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and it was just really fabulous. The writing is so good. I loved how all of these characters served as these archetypes of the 7 deadly sins, but also had individuality within themselves. Like, they weren't just greed or envy or anger, and I really loved that. I was also personally satisfied with the way they handled the topic of a student-teacher relationship. Like, the school is always investigating every single claim that is made. They're making it very clear that this is a predator-prey relationship. This is unacceptable. It's a power imbalance. And a lot of books that are written about these relationships often romanticize it, and I just did not get that from this novel, but that's just me. I was also happy with the fact that we have a book featuring a pansexual main character as well as an aromantic and asexual main character, although that representation is not explicitly said on the page using that terminology, but it's still very clear. I just loved this novel so much. There's so much to love about each and every one of these characters, and I felt that they just complemented each other so well in this story. I'm really impressed, especially considering I think this is a debut novel, but it was one of my favorite reads of the year. It's a really fabulous contemporary novel, and I would definitely recommend this one to you guys. Next book I read in the month of June is If I Was Your Girl by Meredith Russo, which is an own voices novel featuring a trans main character. As you can see, I've read a lot of books featuring a lot of different sexualities, and that's because June was Pride Month. I was really trying to read even more sexualities than I have in the past to create an LGBTQIAP+ recommendations video, so I'll link that below if you want to check out some of the other recommendations, but a lot of the books in this wrap-up are also in that video. Again, I loved If I Was Your Girl. I gave it 4 or 4.5 out of 5 stars, and it was just a really enjoyable read. The pacing in this book is really fast, so I ended up flying through it, and every single time I picked up this book, I just felt even more connected to these characters. It is really well written, and I think there's a nice balance between having good trans representation, although it's not something I can actually speak on, but it has been praised over and over again by trans reviewers for being a own voices novel featuring a trans main character. But I feel like it really resonates with a lot of people, but it can also be informative to cisgender readers like myself. Like, there is an author's note in the back that I'd really recommend regardless of where you are in the gender spectrum, because I just think this book benefits so much to so many different people. While I've really loved this book, it is a really tough novel. It deals with a lot of transphobia and bullying and suicidal ideation / suicide attempts as trigger warnings. Our main character Amanda has really been through the ringer at her old home, and she's now recently moved, trying to create a new life for herself as a person she's she's always meant to be, but she's still afraid of negative reactions from her classmates. So I would just highly recommend this book. I think it is so important for so many different reasons, and it was just really well written and I really enjoyed it. Next book I read in the month of June is Heart Tolstoy by Catherine Ormsby, which is a book featuring an asexual main character. I loved this book. It was so good. Definitely one of my favorites of the month as well as the year. As I stated before, I've really been looking for books about YouTubers that show what it's really like to be a YouTuber, and Heart Tolstoy definitely does that. I was so happy with the execution of having a group of people who made videos and had exposure on the internet. It was so good. Heart Tolstoy essentially follows our main character named Tosh and her group of friends as they were creating a web series adaptation of a book by Leo Tolstoy. Suddenly it goes viral, they have fans and haters, and it really deals with the tensions that can arise in between close friends when these projects get a lot of exposure. And I thought it was such a great novel. It's a wonderful contemporary novel. It takes place during the summer, so I think it's a really, really great summer read. And again, there's just so much to love in this book, and I think there's a lot of things that people can relate to or else people would enjoy reading about. So again, I've linked Goodreads reviews below for all of these because I think I sometimes express myself better in Goodreads reviews as opposed to just like one tiny tidbit in a wrap-up. But I love Heart Tolstoy and highly, highly recommend it. Next book I read in the month of June is Moxie by Jennifer Matthew, which is absolutely one of my favorites of the year. I'm having trouble trying to figure out what's going to happen in December when I have to pick my top 17 of 2017 because damn, have I read a lot of good books this year. Moxie is a YA feminist novel that takes place in Texas, and it follows our main character named Viv, who is fed up with the sexism in her school, and she starts a zine in order to bring the girls of her school together to fight back against all of the negativity that is coming towards them because of their gender. It's so good. Oh my god, I'm going to be posting a spoiler-free review of it on my channel because it does come out this September. Comes out September 19th. Please pre-order it, reserve it at your library. It is gonna be so fabulous and so many people are gonna love it, and I can't wait for this book to be in the hands of the people who are really going to benefit from it. It's just so good. There's so much sexism called out all the time, and it's just all about girls supporting other girls and people coming together even though they might have been at different cliques for one cause. It's such an important novel. It really touched my heart. I was crying, I was laughing, I was angry, and I was satisfied, and it was so, so, so good. Please read Moxie. I'd really love it if you did. So while I'm talking about all of these amazing books that I've read that I have had the best time reading and have really enjoyed, I did DNF a book for the very first time in September. So I wanted to talk about that because that is something totally new for me, and although I don't count it towards my reading goal because I did not finish this book, I wanted to talk about it because it meant a lot for me to make that decision. I've said this on my channel before. I've always been the type of person to give a book a complete chance. You know, I would read the first book in a series all the way through. Sometimes I even force myself to read a full series to make sure that like I wasn't missing out on any of its potential. And recently I feel like I've been reading books and just trudging through them to say I haven't DNF'd them, which I don't think is a good decision on my part. So for the first time in my life, I put a book down without finishing it, and I feel really good about it. I'm sad because I wanted to love this book, and I think I do have the potential to like it if I read it more in the future. So I definitely consider giving it another try. I don't think it's a bad book by any means, but unfortunately that book is 27 Hours by Tristina Wright. I'm so disappointed because I met Tristina and she is so lovely and kind, and I was really excited for her book, but unfortunately it just was not for me. Although I did not finish this book, I am wishing it nothing but success. I think it is going to mean so much to so many different readers because there is a huge variety of representation in this novel, and I'm really excited for a science fiction fantasy with such a diverse cast to be in the hands of young readers. It really wasn't the characters. Like, I really did like the characters, and I'm sad that I don't get to know them better just at this point in my life, but it was more like little parts of the writing and the world building and such that came together and made me just not want to read this at that moment, and that's fine, and I'm so glad I can say that's fine. So I did DNF it, but I really would not take my experience as yours in this case. I think this is going to be a fantastic book. I really hope you do pick it up this October, and I'm really excited for its release, and hopefully I will give it another shot in the future and like it so much more when I'm in a better mindset to read this specific book. On a more positive note, the next book I read in the month of June is What I Lost by Alexandra Ballard, which is a novel featuring a main character suffering from anorexia. I loved this book so much. I say this about every freaking mental health book I read, but it really is at the top of my recommendations list, and I think it is my favorite YA novel written about eating disorders ever. I am going to place a big trigger warning on this novel for disordered eating habits and such because it deals with weight and calories and numbers, and I think there is content in it that could be triggering to somebody who is going through a similar issue, so be cautious of that if you decide to read my review of it or if you decide to pick up this book. I want to place that in your minds because I think our mental health should come before reading every single time. I just love this book so much. It has the perfect balance of authenticity and honesty about what it is like to deal with anorexia, in addition to showing the dangers and consequences and hardships of suffering. Like, this book does not glorify eating disorders whatsoever in my mind. It's not a love cure book because romance is not a focus in this novel. It is really centered on recovery and why recovery is important, and I'm getting emotional thinking about this because this book just means so much to me. It's so good. I'm going to be reviewing it. I have such a long review of all the things I loved about this book in regards to eating disorder representation, so I'm excited for that. I talked a little bit about it in my Goodreads review. I'm emotional. Please read this book. It's fantastic. Thank you so much, Alexandra Ballard, for writing a book that I can really relate to and I can just feel so comforted by. It was so good, guys. And then the final book that I read in the month of June is always a favorite, and that is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone by J.K. Rowling. Now, things have been a little weird for me recently. I have been experiencing a lot of depersonalization lately, which, if you didn't know, sucks. I've just been feeling really down and bad and unmotivated and just like not present, not here in my life, and it was getting me really down, and I think that honestly plays into part of the reason why I put down 27 hours. Like, I haven't been here. And on the 20th anniversary of Harry Potter, which just passed this June, I decided I wanted to pick up the series a little bit early because I do read Harry Potter once a year, but I do it normally in like October, November. I wanted to pick it up to ground myself, to make myself feel like I'm home and here, and I haven't been experiencing any of that since picking up Harry Potter again, which is really, really fabulous. I loved Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I have been listening to it on audiobook. I just started Chamber of Secrets again, and they are so fabulous. That is really my word of this haul, isn't it? It just feels so good to be back in this world, to be reintegrated with these characters, and just I feel good reading Harry Potter. I feel really, really good, and I'm happy I made this decision. So I will be reading the rest of Harry Potter for this year. I'm kind of balancing it out with other audiobooks. Like, for example, I did start Akawar in June. I started it in May, actually. It's taking me a really long time to get through, so that doesn't count for this month's wrap up yet. Hopefully I'll finish it in July, but I have been balancing it out, and even just having Harry Potter there has made me more motivated to listen to Akawar. It's just really put me back where I feel I need to be in my life, and that is why Harry Potter is so amazing and so special to me. And so I hope you guys have a book that is similar to that. I hope you reread it soon and get all the good feels that I do from Harry Potter. But that's really it for my wrap up for the month of June. I have had a really great time reading recently. It's been really great. I hope you guys are having similar reading experiences where you're just really loving the books you're reading, and if you're not right now, I hope you find some of those books very soon. Let me know in the comments of this video what was your favorite book that you read in the month of June, or if you read any of these books and what you thought of them. But that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you soon for a new one. Bye!